All right, cyber traders, welcome back here this Wednesday. I'm losing track of my weekdays at this point, right? Because we got our half day tomorrow. We're off for the fourth, of course, coming up this Friday. Great to have all of us though back inside our live trading room. Great to be back with you. Great to have later with us here, Michael. I saw Brad just before, Ron, Lewis, Roberto. Great to have all of us back there. Again, inside our live trading room, all up and down around the country, just from New York to Florida and back up and around. I had a flight canceled just last night going from New York back to Florida. So I was at the airport for a long time. I had to take like a 3 o'clock drive back to the airport. I took a 7 o'clock flight. We are all good. We're safe and home and sound. And we're actually ready for class this afternoon. The phase three stock course coming up, finishing things up at least this afternoon. Yeah, class and basically live trading going into the market close. I pretty much did a bit of a live trading class at the end of last week, phase two. If you're with us in the phase two stock course, it was a miniature styled phase three class there. So, for all intents and purposes, hopefully we're going to have a very active market here heading into the close. GameStop, I'm just on a swing trade with. I've been on, at the beginning of this was maybe from like the end of Monday it was. But yeah, right now let's just go across the top of the gainers list to begin. Any of the stocks that we've called out from earlier, that we traded from earlier, that you may have traded, I was in the air, but that we did well on collectively as a group. We'll look to recap here pretty quickly. The MoGo trade, MOGO, this thing up and down. Give me a quick second. I feel like I got double audio going. One moment. All right, test 1 2 1 2 should be good. Yeah, all right, we're good now. Sorry about that. So yeah, MoGo at least to begin the pre-market hours, 8 o'clock in the morning. This thing just took off. What a great pre-market trade this was. Ended up going from essentially 175, 165 here up towards just about four. I mean, hey, you could ask for more, but that's as good as we can normally expect to see pre-market stocks move. Now, there could have been a case for more after the market had opened up, made a lower high, and then came back down, broke this just consolidation area here, and then that basically flipped into resistance. So, was how low of a float stock is this really? TradeStation isn't even showing me the number. That's how tiny, microscopic of a float this stock has. Now, if you recall, we kind of complained about that on a certain trade from the end of last week, the beginning of this very week. BMNR, this stock is low float, very low float. And this ended up being an anomaly. This just went nuts. Went from what, like $10, $8 up to 70, 10x essentially, if not maybe a bit more. But not every stock is going to do this. Just because it's low float doesn't mean it's going up 1,000%. Sometimes it only goes up 227% or whatever this ended up being, and it came back down. So we're done with this trade, point being, and we'll keep it moving. This stock, Sun, SONN. I mean, very low float stock as well. You could just see back from the end of 2022 into 23, stock just crashed. Let's just see here. Probably go back further. Yeah, like look how far this has been around since like 2020. You could probably go back further, all the way back to 2009, 2008. And the stock was not technically $500,000 per share. This is all just based on like a number of different reverse stock splits. There may have even just been one that came out earlier this morning that prompted this move. But either way, it's still trying to hold here a bit and it's trying to do something. So I'll come back to this trade by the end of this meeting and we'll see what it's all about. If we build up a really big list, at the end and we come back to it, may not be a need to add that, but we'll keep going. DAIC, one of my personal rules, I've been with Fausto, thankfully, for about 11 years. I've had the privilege of being here, working with our students, Michael, Leda, got Bill here, Scott, Debbie, Alex, Kath, and all of us just otherwise. Listen, my tip of the day is for especially those students that have been with us for a little while now, if there's a stock that you're not familiar with, you've never seen the stock trade before, you've never seen those four letters next to each other before, DAIC, yeah, I ain't never heard of it. So, I take one look at this chart. It's either going to be really bad in terms of a long-term drop, which this is not. Otherwise, this is a new IPO. New IPO, I guess, from like the end of June, pop, drop. Just we weren't focused on it back then. Just some no-name company, right? CID Holdco. All right, well, it starts making a better move over time. We'll try and catch it eventually. LIXT making the same kind of move that Sun is, right? LIXT, Sun, both low float kind of pieces of garbage normally, but they're trying to do something for right now for this afternoon. Both I'll respectively come back to at the end of this meeting. ELWS, maybe same here, not as strong, I don't think, but maybe we'll come back to it. Now, Mike made the call out just before Michael D on the EYEN trade. So this was pushing up at the highs just before, flashing his call out there to all of us just in the room. If you see that there on the corner right, you know what? I'll put this on our list to begin. It's near the highs. It's at the highs, making new HODs. We're talking perhaps here. Just the issues, the liquidity. So you do want to focus on the trend first. You know, follow the trend. The trend is your friend, but that liquidity is poor, piss poor. You know, and if anything, there's a bit of a gap that this could try and fill if this wants to get like real crazy. This wants to go, you know, bonkers and go up towards 25, 27-ish. There is a gap for this to try and fill. So I'll put it on our watch list for now. Just be careful of that order book, though. You're going to get trapped eventually on that thing. Grip, GRYP. Now, I turn over to Grip. I mean, hey, you know me for as long as you've known me. How did I not begin this meeting by going over Bitcoin, right? I mean, talking about Bitcoin, this is back up towards 110,000, and IBIT is doing great so far this afternoon. It's, you know, it's not up 5+%, but it's on its way there. You know, doing phenomenal, even just here off this last shake. Now, where Grip comes into play is that this is a Bitcoin mining company. You know, there may have been news that came out over the last night, maybe earnings, maybe a partnership. I'll tell you what, I got the time. I got the time here. Let's figure it out. Why is this stock moving here? What actually is the news? Let's see. I knew this was Trump affiliated. We last traded Grip, GRYP, off of like Trump news, you know, Eric Trump. We knew that. I guess they advanced, their merger advanced. All right, well, whatever that took to get to involve to advance, sure. Little overnight move, but right now, kind of slumpy here, just lower highs, not really doing as much just yet. It's always a, you know, prove me wrong type deal. I'll believe it when I see it type deal. BM&R, starting to see it, so I better start believing it here, I guess. So I'll add this back to our list, this crazy thing. You know, listen, if it wasn't making a higher high here or on its way to pretty much, I wouldn't be putting this on our watch list. But chart looks great. SBET, this is probably the best looking trade that we have so far. Nice afternoon move going into 12:30, 1 o'clock, pushed up pretty well from basically 10 even before that run, up towards just about 12:50. You know, order book is still very thin. I don't like this one either in terms of the liquidity, but given the move, given everything that we're seeing so far, I got to put this on our list. So far, I'll be at the top. Probably find something better, hopefully more liquid, you know, better order book, easier to see icebergs. It's not like it's a 123-mile-per-hour fastball down the black. And I don't mind hitting a 70-mile-per-hour, 75-mile-per-hour pitch. Give me that. So kind of sticking with the theme of Bitcoin now at this point, because we talked about BM&R, we talked about SBET. Those are cryptocurrency-related stocks. You got MSTX, which is the MicroStrategy ETF. MSTX, MSTR, you know, going up really well. Coinbase breaking a new high here too. So listen, I didn't want to just jump right to crypto and just add all the crypto trades on the afternoon watch list here. But now at this point, as we're going through, we got to add Coinbase. We got to add the MSTR. May as well throw IBIT back on there. Definitely is a good swing trade opportunity. ALT, you know, it's hanging in there, a little slow. You know, if it pops later on, we'll call it out, or I'll trade it with you in class if you're joining me. But oh, you know what? So I'm not gonna like focus too much on those ETFs. If you trade them, then you know which ones those are. I'm gonna add this one though, just so we're familiar with a less expensive one. This MSTU is like really good looking. You had the other one, but that was more expensive. So MSTU will go with the MSTR stack. All right, so now we're building up a little list here. Now we're building up a nice little watch list. HUT, Bitcoin mining, maybe even Ethereum holding stock, but a little flat now. BBAI, we love this trade and only keeps going up. Come on, give me a pullback on this thing. Give me a nice fat pullback right down towards this like web of support I lined up. Come on, give it to me. Oscar had a deep pullback today, but it ended up stopping me out at 1750 break even as it just made lower highs. We'll get to that in a bit just as far as the losers go, but that was a much needed pullback. Getting back to BBAI, this thing only keeps going up. Lower highs now, so won't focus on it as much for the afternoon. But bit deer, maybe. This thing is like popping back up right now, so I can come back to this if we need to. Speaking of Bitcoin, of course, Robinhood, that's one of our favorites. It just broke over $100 today, so that's nice to see. Mara finally having a nice little day there. We've been doing great on the IREN, IREN, Bitcoin mining slash nuclear play. Webull, this is doing really nice here. So I'm going to add Webull to our watch list. Bull, Webull. I was about to spell out the company name. Bull ticker. But Webull, this thing we've been teased by for a little while. We thought that after the IPO, it was going to tank. But given that it is a more prominent brokerage platform out there, huge in Asian markets, let alone US markets recently, you figure they're going to make a nice swing move over time, but you don't want to just like buy and then just hold on to a stock down 35, 40%, for about a month or so, right? So this is where we were a little misled with seeing this try and build support, but then it broke down. Built a little support, broke a little down lower. So, now last few days been doing pretty good, strong volume last 3 days in a row. So there could be a lot more to it here on this bull trade. If you're with Fausto, what happened here? Don't have any more bulls. You got bull, but no more bulls. BULLZ, that ETF or the warrant, not an ETF, it's a warrant. They delist it. I had no idea. Well, hey, we just got bull here, regular BULL, good order book. You got a stack of sellers out there at $14, 1408 as resistance. Keep it moving. We keep it moving. Rigetti, I was going to say rigatoni. Kind of reminds me of a little rigatoni. Rigetti doing great. There's a larger gap here for this to try and eventually fill. That would be interesting to see that happen. Yeah, it was. Quantum altogether doing pretty good. So a QUBT move up pretty nicely before. I'd call that out. Looks like Rigetti's doing better, though. Looks like Rigetti doing a lot better. So I'll put this one specifically on our watch list. The QBTS, this one's starting to move up a little bit right now, too. It's up over 5%. Listen, if you do well on any one of those specifically, keep it to yourself, I'll say. We're going to focus on them as they're moving individually. Right now, we like the Rigetti the most. It's up the most. It's at the high still. So I just don't want to get too overwhelmed. We don't need to add every crypto stock. We don't need to add every quantum stock. We don't need to add every uranium stock. All about you. So this stock here is making a nice run, whereas UEC, dead, CCJ, flat, all about you this afternoon. We'll add this one. All right. Whew, catch my breath here, folks. All right. So as we finish up the gainer side here, number 50 is up 10% still? Insane. Tesla, TSLL, all moving up pretty nicely here, right? When the markets are breaking higher, there's a lot that's moving. There's a lot that's at the highs, respectively. We don't want to build up a big watch list. There's a lot more, I'm sure, that we could sift through. But as we started from the top and worked our way down, this is a great list already. We haven't even touched the loser side yet. So, in class this afternoon, where I'll be teaching phase 3, a big focal point that I'll have is not getting overwhelmed. We don't need to trade the shiny object in the room in order to make money. If you really think that way, you must love the casino, right? Hey, facts are facts. We're here to make, at least educated decisions. So you want to focus on good spread, good order book, and then we'll kind of work our way around. Hopping over to the loser side here, MBIO, CNC. This thing's actually easy to borrow. Easy to borrow. Breaking through big historical support here. That's interesting. This might be like a longer, short trade to develop over time. It's at the lows, so that's pretty interesting. And actually, this has a great order book. I don't know too much about this company. We haven't really ever traded this. So you know what? I'll add this. Pretty interesting trade. Will I absolutely short it? If it breaks lower, perhaps. But it's a nice setup, just something that's an interesting trade. Maybe if you're just kind of on the sidelines this afternoon, just studying a stock, seeing it at the lows. It's worth watching. Now, getting back to Oscar here. So, I thought that there was a chance for Oscar to build support starting today throughout the rest of this week, next week. I don't know what news came out that led to this spike down, but pretty much just given the range that it was making. Let's see if I can show you this here. Could I get this? Oh, perfect. So top, bottom, fib retracement, looking at 50% line pretty much, only this line, 1745. I thought that that would be potential support. I thought there was a case where, all right, well, maybe after reversal time, when I get back from my flight back to Florida, we can get a bounce. And things were looking decent to begin, holding at least support here, just never broke higher. Lower highs stopped me out at like an hour and a half, 2 hours ago at this point. It's at the lows. So I could add this now at this point to our watch list as a potential short. Probably take some time for the support to develop on the swing trade in order for that to be a better move. All right. Nothing else on the loser side looks good. I can just tell you that right now. Everything else is an ETF, low small cap stock, maybe Circle. Circle's down a little bit here so far, a little expensive. It's a strong trade. So, it's a new IPO, unless if you think that this stock, the balloon is bursted. It's a pretty healthy company as far as the future with stablecoin business goes and crypto and Bitcoin. So, it's at the lowest today, but I'm not going to put this on our watch list. Not really a need to. Bigger battles to fight, my friends. All right. So, shout out to a couple of us on the YouTubes this afternoon. Again, if you're on social media, Facebook Live, LinkedIn, Twitter, X, YouTube, wherever you may be residing, especially YouTube, at CyberTradingU down below. Again, I just got back from a hell of a last 18 hours of my life, getting a couple flights canceled, delayed, etc. I got a face for radio this afternoon, but I'll be back on tomorrow morning, I think, with Fausto. We'll be streaming live, I believe, for the half day tomorrow morning. Off on Friday, though, right? All right. So otherwise, shout out to Lewis here joining us. Good to see you here, Lewis A. Good to see you, Anthony W. as well. He says, don't sleep on Bull. He says you should listen. Well, here's the thing though, right? A trade's a trade. So if you love the company so much, then I'm sure that you're going to be able to put away a little money and you don't care if it drops, 15, 20%, if you think it's going to, 50x over time or whatever the case may be. But a trade is a trade, which means I remember this from like, the back of my hand. There's a guy on social media, Anthony, on X. You'll see him on Twitter. Guy's got like a few 100,000 followers. He was telling people to buy Celsius as it just kept crashing. Every other tweet was, "Oh, it's going to bounce. It's going to bounce. It's going to bounce. It's going to." And then finally, I stepped in here. Maybe it was a few months back earlier this calendar year, and I took one stab at it. Took a loss. Next shot was like right place, right time. Perfect move off the earnings. Point being is that it's okay to take a loss if it doesn't work out, but don't keep trying to move the goalposts, right? Don't keep trying to move the goalposts. So now at this point, it's been moving pretty back up pretty nicely. Is there a case for this support that we had called out previously to now hold better? Hey, perhaps, right? That's why we're all in it. So, join us, Anthony, inside our live trading room. If you actually see one of our fellow attendees on YouTube right now, Leda, one of our main contributors, one of our longtime students inside our live trading room. So she'll be there alongside fellow students like Kathleen, Brad, Michael, Chuck, got Uday, Roberto. Roberto saying SBEC could be following a day's gap fill. Maybe. Yeah. They come out with some sort of news, some like crazy good news, whatever, like buyback. I don't know. I'm just shooting from the hip. But this is a big gap. Yeah, it's possible. Chuck says SBET, in a Fausto flag's been moving. There we go. Perfect. All right, folks. Hey, we're going to finish up at least for right now. No shortage of stocks to work with here heading into the afternoon. So if you're in class, if you're a phase 3 student, gold, platinum, diamond member, you got me here for the class this afternoon. I always appreciate the opportunity that Fausto provides me to teach the phase 3 class with him. Typically he'll do the first 3, then I'll clean it up here to finish things up with lesson 4, or our fourth lesson across the month at least. So click that link right there to join, and then I'll be prepping up in just a bit. I'll jump in before we actually start. If you have any miscellaneous questions you just want to ask, if you want to just have some extra time with me, no problem. We're going to just jump into the class, prep up. We'll start at 3:05. We'll actually begin at 3:05 Eastern. All right, folks. But again, I'll see everyone in class. Best of luck trading. Otherwise, to everyone else, take care.